Hello, welcome to the second episode of Super Awkward Reviews with L. Latham. I want to thank you so much for watching the first one, and I got some good feedback. And I decided to do another one for Bates Motel because it went crazy. Again, where we left off, Norma had left her boys at home. What happened was she gets her phone, just like I told her to. Good job, Norma. So she goes, buys a cell phone, and finds out that Dylan left 100 messages. And there's a message from Romero saying that he got shot. So that's hilarious. Like, the idea of getting a text from someone that says, I was just shot, and I called you, and you didn't answer. I just imagine how weird that is. So she goes home, and not without fighting a little bit with Norman, because he said she was on last night. Vera was on it because the humor in Norma was just so. She's just so sick of everything. She's just like, she's not even gonna pretend anymore that her life is going well. She doesn't find his being a nitwit to be masculine or attractive. And then Norman obviously, is walking through the store with her, and he's like, I'm walking behind you in a masculine and attractive way. It's so creepy, their relationship. But anyway, so when she gets home, she finds Romero waiting for her at the top of the stairs, which is super cute, I think. Aw. And he's just so, like, pouring his heart out, like, I was shot, and you could have died. We both could have died. And she's like, well, you're alive, I'm alive, whoopee. And then he asks for the flash drive again. And she's just like, she's done. She's like, okay, it's in that grill light on the farm, the marijuana farm with Gunner. And then she says, I like the line when she says, what kind of name is Gunner anyway? He's like, a stupid one. And then also in the beginning, dilemma is fully happening now because Norman is so psycho. Like, who would want to date him? So Dylan goes to visit Emma at Bates Motel, where she's doing her duties, and he clicks on the bell, and then she comes, and he's like, hey. And she's like, hi. And then he invites her out for dinner because he wants to thank her for staying over. And then her overprotective dad comes in. So anyway, he says to Dylan that she doesn't know her limitations, and she's like, Dad, you're embarrassing me. And then she leaves because she has to go back home. So what happens later is Dylan goes to the dad and asks him about her condition. And the dad lets her know that she's on a list for a new lung, and that she'd be closer to the top of it if there were a donation of $25,000. And so what happens is Dylan's like, okay, I can come up with that money. He's going to be the knight in shining armor. And he goes to meet with Chick and Caleb, and they work out a plan to do some gun running, which is totally going to go so well. Norman, the psychologist, shows up at their door for Norma to see how she's doing, because she didn't call back or anything, because it was a one-night stand, okay? But he's like, oh, you went out in a hurry and everything, and she's like, whatever. And she says, okay, you can help me with something. Talk to Norman. Norman, of course, wants to be alone in the basement with a guy while he's doing taxidermy, which is so gross. And I've seen so many things, and I just cannot watch that fake shit. Even though it's fake, I know it's fake, but it's just like so gross. Next, Finnegan, I learned his name just in time for him to leave. He tells Norman, he's trying to help him, and he asks Norman point blank, do you want to have sex with your mother, Norman? And that's just when you don't say that to him. So what happened is he got choked out, and I thought for a second there's gonna be another body in this basement. And then somehow he gets away. I don't know how he got away, but like the dude just ran right out of there. He's like, get him some help, Norma. Like, he's crazy, but he doesn't specify why he says that. So he leaves, and she's like, oh, what happened? And she goes down, and Norman's all like sad again, and she's like, oh, honey, it's okay. We all go a little mad sometimes. And I'm just like, yes! This was my reaction. It's not the most best reaction, but that's all I could do. So after that, she gets a call later from drunk Alex, who, by the way, in this episode gets a lot more backstory. So his mother died a long time ago, 22 years ago. She committed suicide. He looks at the flash drive and he sees the ledger with his mother's signature on it. And then he goes to Bob Paris. At the beginning, he's outside and he goes to this car in the front drive, and it's Marcus' body. And Marcus' body has a note that says, I withdraw my candidacy for sheriff. And I thought that was brilliant. So Bob talks to Alex, and Alex is all like, why is my mother involved in this? And he says it's his dad that put the signature there. So then he goes to his dad in prison, and they talk it out, and he blames his dad for his mother's death, which was by an overdose. And after that, he's all drunk and shit. So he calls Norma. Because he calls Norma all the time now. For everything. So Norma answers, and she's like, what is wrong with you? And she comes to pick him up, and in her new car. And he's like, what happened to your car? She's like, yeah, I miss it. I mean, I don't know why I traded it in. So she has to put him into the seat with the seatbelt and everything, and puts it over him. And it's all this sexy, nice moment. And then it comes to where she's put him in bed, and it's just this beautiful moment. But then it's also kind of creepy, because I've seen her, and you've seen her, tuck Norman in plenty of times. And it's been sort of the same thing. Like, she seems to be mothering Alex at that point. She just can't stop being a mother, that Norma. She tucks him in and asks him what's wrong, basically, and he says everything about his mother. He opens up to her. He's like, that's my sad story. And then she says, life is so hard, isn't it? And he says, sometimes. And then he smiles, and she smiles a little bit. And then she gets closer, and he holds her hand. It's super sweet. And then he brings her closer and closer, and they're just so close to kissing. I just can't stand it. And then she just backs away, and she's like, I'm gonna go make dinner, bye. And then she goes to the door, and he's like, I think you're beautiful. And it's so sweet. And she's like, you're gonna wish you didn't say that to me tomorrow. He's like, probably. She sees Caleb outside her door with her favorite flowers, and he's come to make amends. And she invites him to dinner, of course, because that's what you do. And that's also when Alex comes in, and he's like, I gotta go. And she's like, no, stay for dinner. It's not gonna be awkward. Let's all just stay for dinner and pretend that we're one big happy family. There's a toast by Caleb that's really weird. And then Norma says she's grateful to have everyone there, and she's always wanted to have friends and family over for dinner and all this stuff. And then they do another toast, and then Alex does a little toast with Norma. Then Dilemma eats, and then they all kind of disappear until it's just Norman left. And then we see Norman's state of mind, and he's out of it. And it's just this awkward shot of him in bed, and he's about to get up, and we're like, oh shit, what's happening now? And he goes to Norma's room, and he sees her in her nightie, and then he just starts to stroke her, and it's super creepy. Oh my gosh, it's going there. It is going there. So in the next episode, what I hope will happen is some Norma and Alex action, of course. We are due a kiss. We need a kiss. Like this. I think Caleb is he's not long for this world at all. He's gonna die soon. For sure. Dylan's gonna get in trouble with the gun running. And probably Emma's not gonna like that he's taking up this task of trying to save her. It's all gonna be very weird. So, I think it's going to be interesting, and I can't wait to see what happens next time. That was an explosive episode. I can't imagine what the finale is going to be like. So, we'll see what happens.